how's everyone doing? Santh Predicts here. So today I have a new video for you, and this is my breakdown of the 2020 Kansas Senate election between Republican likely nominee Kris Kobach and likely Democratic nominee Barbara Bollier. So Kris Kobach, he was the former Secretary of State from 2011 through 2019. He ran for the governor of Kansas in 2018, where he did lose to Democratic Governor Laura Kelly, and he is currently leading in the polls for the GOP Senate primary. Barbara Bollier is a state senator from Kansas's 7th District. She's leading the Democratic candidate for the Senate in Kansas, and she's also, a fun fact, she's a former Republican. So this is the last time the Senate seat was up for election. This was 2014. There was no Democrat on the ballot, actually, so independent Greg Orman, who also ran for governor, which we'll get into in a minute, he was the nominee against Republican Senator Pat Roberts. Pat Roberts won this race 53.1% to Greg Orman getting 42.5%. This race was neck and neck in the polls, and then Pat Roberts ended up winning by a big margin on Election Day. But this was not foreseen to happen as the polls were very, very close leading up to the election. For the 2018 governor race, Laura Kelly actually surprised many and won the governor's race, beating Kris Kobach, who was also on the ticket. But Laura Kelly getting 48% to Kris Kobach getting 43%, with Greg Orman getting 6.5%, playing spoiler for this election. When I get to my personal assessment, I'll be bringing up Greg Orman in a few minutes, but Laura Kelly did win, and she became the first Democratic governor of Kansas in a very, very long time. I'm not exactly sure how long it's been, but I know it's been a while. So, yeah, this is, oh, wait, no, I think it was Kathleen Seboulis, was like, so 2009. Was it 2009? Yeah, I think it's been since 2009. Anyway, yeah, Laura Kelly won. She became the Democratic governor of Kansas. The current Republican Senator Pat Roberts is retiring. He's not running for re-election. His current approval rating is 37%, disapproval 35%. He had some popularity issues, more so in 2014. They're not really as addressed as much this time around, especially because he's retiring. But he's not really the most popular senator, let's just say that. So the polling data we have so far is 3 out of the 4 polls we have are Democratic skewed, and all polls show this to be a very close, contentious race. However, in the one nonpartisan poll we have, it is Kris Kobach up 1, and all these polls are tied and within the margin of errors, so it's basically a tied race. However, Barbara Bollier does lead the polling data by 1 point. Some endorsements for Kris Kobach. Here's a few, but more smaller names. David Barton, Ann Coulter, a lot of you will probably know. James Dobson and Peter Thiel. Barbara Bollier, she has some more bigger name endorsements from Kirsten Gillibrand, Chris Murphy, Brian Schatz, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin, Laura Kelly, Kathleen Seboulis, and Stacey Abrams. So my personal assessment of this race is I think it's very, very close, and it is going to be one to watch on Election Day that could potentially flip. A very important note I have to say, though, is that Senate races and governor races are very different. So just because Kris Kobach lost in 2018 at the governor's race doesn't mean he'll lose the Senate race as well. I know a lot of states that will vote for the opposite party for governor. For instance, my home state of Massachusetts, we elect Republican governors all the time, but we will never elect a Republican senator for some reason. And Kansas and a lot of other states on the Republican side do that. They'll vote for Democrat governors, but they'll never elect Republicans, or they'll never elect Democratic senators. So I can see that being the case for Kris Kobach. Higher voter turnout in the presidential election, assuming everything goes. Obviously, we're very far out. We don't know how it's going to go. But if things go the way we think it will, the higher turnout in the midterms, President Trump and Kris Kobach do benefit from that. Only Democratic school polls at this time show Kris Kobach losing. The only non-biased one we've seen so far is Kobach up 1. So it's really within the margin of error. It's a tied race, but definitely something to keep an eye on. The most important thing to notice, though, is there's no prominent third-party candidate. There's no Greg Orman, who's going to take up more than probably 1 or 2% in this race. And that's the reason Kris Kobach lost last time. I think that if it's just Kris Kobach and Laura Kelly, I honestly think that Kris Kobach ends up winning this race. And I don't think Laura Kelly wins because she only got a plurality of the vote. And I think Greg Orman played spoiler to Kris Kobach. So I think he could definitely win if Orman's not on the ticket. So my prediction for this race, sorry, I skipped back. So I think Kris Kobach will win this Senate seat at the end of the day. This may not be the most popular pick I've ever made, but I think this is the right pick, and I think this is a pick that I'll stand by and I'll defend. I think Kris Kobach will win, not by the best margin for a Republican in Kansas. I think he'll get about 48.9%, 49%. He'll not get a majority of the vote. Barbara Bollier will finish very close behind him at 46%, by a 3-4 point margin. 2, 3, 4 point margin, somewhere in that range. I don't see Kris Kobach winning by a big margin. I do see him narrowly edging out a win. However, it's not pretty, but Kris Kobach does get it done. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like this video and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next one.